Hi, I'm Old Sneelock. Welcome to another episode of Old Sneelock's Workshop. Trenching the hole today. Want to make sure I get deep enough hole to trench across the yard and put the wire down 2 feet. So it's a lot of fiddling. We'll see how I do. Well, the Barreto is doing a great job. I've got just a little bit of practice in. I started cutting a hole back a little bit. You see that in the short. But I wanted to stop short of the concrete. I figured I could do the rest of it by hand because it's only just a little bit of cutting. It's cutting a nice 8-inch wide trench and nothing's stopping it. Roots just right on through them. So I'm good. I'm going to head off now towards the hole over there in the yard. That's where the first sewer line is. But before I do that, I'll go through the controls a little bit, which took me a minute to figure out how to make it run. They showed me, but you know, you gotta develop a little bit of memory on the thing. Got a key switch for on. This is the choke. That's on, the other way's off. You choke it to get it started. You flip the choke off. It runs good. This is the engine throttle. All the way back slow. All the way forward is high speed. You need to run the engine high speed when you're trenching. It doesn't want to trench at anything lower than high speed. This one, you pull the lever back. It raises the boom. You push the lever forward, it lowers the boom. You want to start in slow and let it dig its way down. If you just push it, it's going to stall out the engine. It's got tracks and it's a skid steer. So left is reverse. This is reverse. That's forward. If you do one, it turns left. If you do this one, it turns right. Either direction. This is the dead stop. Sets how far this will move. Then when you're trenching, you push that down and it starts the chain moving. You lower the boom into the trench with the handle. And then once you get down to the level you want, and there's no indicator on what it is, you just got to try it and measure it and try it and measure it. And then once you hit where you want it, you stop, leave the lever alone and go there. So every time I stop the thing and start on a new trench, I have to do the measurement, which is not a big deal. It's just something that you got to remember to do. So that's the controls on the thing. If you let go of the handles, it stops moving, nothing goes on. There's no parking brake. So when you stop it, you want to just shut it off. You don't want to leave it sitting there idling. Especially, it does vibrate a little bit, and you don't want it creeping backwards or forwards. So best thing to do is just shut the engine off. Besides that, if you have 8 hours in 24 hours, 8 hours on the clock in 24 hours of operation, that's a day's run. They're going to charge you for a day. If you have more than that, they charge you for more. But when you're trenching, you have the clock running. As long as the ignition's on and the engine's running, you're running the clock. As soon as you shut off the engine, clock stops. So you want to dig when you're digging and not run it when you're not running it. That's pretty much everything on this thing. Now let's get started digging. The first find, a Clorox bottle. It's from fairly long ago because it was only 39 cents. The house was built in 1962, so I imagine the sewer line was put in about that same time. So, just guessing, I'd say Clorox cost 39 cents in 1960. Been anticipating this for quite a while. Well, I was doing okay, but then I thought, well, I don't want to cut towards that hole that I dug, so I want to cut away from it. Well, then what was happening was probably something all the trencher operators know. As it came backwards, it was filling the hole. I thought, well, I'll go a little bit, maybe it'll stop filling and it'll just start cleaning it. No. It doesn't have paddles on it, it's got saw teeth. It's not designed to lift the dirt out unless it's got a wall of dirt to roll it up and then pitch it out with a wheel. Well, I decided, okay, that wasn't working. And then I thought, well, next thing to do then is just to get off the trench. And I was doing good until I went to turn. I should have turned so that I had the tracks dead center over the trench. I had turned once up there near the hole. I turned and backed off the hole and everything was fine, no problem. Got back here and the right track slipped into the hole and it was buried. So I ended up having to take the tractor and give it a little lift and a little assist and pull it out of the hole. Thank heavens I got the Ford. It pulled it out no problem. I did have to raise it up a bit and get it on some boards so that it wouldn't, I didn't want to damage the axle. I didn't want to damage the track. So I wanted to have the track up in the air. I used the boom to lift the front end and slid a board under the front end. There's a 2x6 under the front. And then I dropped the boom and slid the 2x12 under the back. That way I could slide it up out of the hole without the track dragging on the side of the hole too much. It did some, but not as bad as it could have. So anyways, now I'm going to go over and I'm going to drop on the other side of the hole, and the next hole I'm going to cut. I'm just going to raise the boom up and cut right straight across it. Live and learn. Hopefully you learn more than you learn more from your mistakes than you do from your wins. I'm evidently learning a lot today. It's not exactly what I would call a good move on my part, but you know, things are things and that's the way it goes sometimes. Well, I got up to the point where I'm going to turn the corner. Before I do that, I got to shove some of this limestone out of the way. I got all excited and started the trencher before I did it. I got to move this limestone up towards the front of the area here. I put this down to keep the water from washing the ground away. When we moved in, there was a river ran through here every time it rained, because this was the low spot, and the road ditch ran alongside the road, and then there was a low spot in Linda's yard that led over to this spot, and then it ran down and ran through the backyard underneath where the shed and the tent are, and back to the drainage ditch, which goes along the back side of the school there. Now, they could have just as easily done that drain a little different, but I wasn't there. I don't know all the things they had to go through. But the limestone stopped it washing out here. I still had a little problem with the roof drain from that porch running down and running out through the back, but this part has stayed just fine. No problems at all with the limestone. It has buried itself, and I've had to come in here and weed it a few times. When I first bought the house and put the limestone down, I put the limestone down, then I put weed killer on it, thinking that that was a good idea. Well, if you look, there's a dead spot right there at the end of the limestone that goes out towards the little red barn. Yeah, stuff lasts 7 years. It's just now coming out of it. Don't do that. That was a bad idea. Limestone is actually supposed to be good for grass, but soil sterilizer, which is what I was using, was a bad idea. In any case, I have to bring the tractor and take the grater blade and drag all this limestone up here, because I need to make a trench back to where the power panel is, and I have to do all this digging by hand because I've got wires and I've got ground wires and got all kinds of things going on back here. I bought some bug killer. Ortho is supposed to kill everything, walks, talks, crawls, or flies, so I got to be careful around it. And we're going to put that on tonight, see if I can't get these yellow jackets to decide this is a bad place to live, or just a good place to die. I'm okay with either one. But I got a lot of hand digging to do here. Got the trench done back that far. Now I'm going to go in and rest up a little bit and get ready for tomorrow's big day with the moving the limestone.